Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Tone Deaf Monk. What's on today's menu? Well, today's menu is going to be my first CCA IEM called the Duo. And it is exactly that. It is a dual dynamic IEM. And I will post in the little ticker some specs so you don't have to listen to me rattle that off. All right, let's actually jump into this because this was an interesting one for me. On the journey, on listening to this, I had just come off of listening to. What did I just listen to? I've listened to a lot. Oh no. I had just listened to the Pen on Turbo. And then I listened to the Simgo Phoenix EM6L, where the Phoenix EM6L was more geared towards I wouldn't say bright side either. I would say it had a good balance. So did the Turbo, but done completely differently as well. So. And then I switched to the dual dynamic drivers, and this one has a completely different sound signature. And the first thing that came to mind for me was a reset set. Okay, so if you haven't heard me talk about that before, what that is a set I've considered for me in the past, which is my Truth Ear Zero Red, where it's kind of unoffensive. It's unoffensive in the bottom end. It doesn't have too much bass, and it doesn't have too much mids. It's not forward in the mids, and it doesn't have too much highs that would scream. So kind of more of a balanced reset set. So between different sets, it allows you to, as the Chocolate Canuck would say, thank you, Bennett, would say, to reset your sensibilities. When Bennett first said that to me, I took a lot of mindful thought, actually, to understand it. And it totally makes sense, and I get it now. Where he has his sets, we each gravitate to our own. And for me, the Truth Ear Zero would be one, and now the CCA Duo. I'll get into the differences in a bit, but how does the Duo sound? And this is an interesting one because if you listen to it by itself, as just listening to the set, and I spent a great amount of time doing that, I thought it had clean. It was clean. That's what it sounded like to me. Clean mids, clean highs, clean bass, very balanced overall. Though the graph shows it as quite bass light, it actually doesn't sound that way. But it's what it did sound like after more impressions, leaving it for a couple days, going to something else. And then especially with this kind of shootout that I'm going to do, then I kind of realized it sounded a bit thin. It sounded a bit thin in the upper mids. Then it was a bit bass shy for me. Definitely not an all-rounder out there. And a great departure from KZ, from all the other ones I've listened to. Probably not my favorite set from KZ or CCA so far. I think that still goes to the ZVX for me. But I really like the way this sounds. I really do. I like how clean it was. I think this set is an absolute perfect for and great for someone who prefers a slight tilt towards the brighter side, but not too much. Not treble head issue like level, right? And doesn't like a bassy IM. I think you would really gravitate toward this set and you would like it quite a lot. There's a lot of things to like about this set. Shape is nice and small. Size. The the actual, so it's got a resin kind of bottom and a metal top, and the lip on it is kind of got a little lip, not just on the nozzle. And inside you can see the two dynamic drivers. It's kind of nice. The shell shape is nice. The nozzle length is nice. Here I'm using the TRI Clarion tips, which go a little bit further into my ear because the nozzle's a great length. So your normal KZ, CCA, QDC, and on this cable on this IM for my impressions was a gold and silver SPC graphene cable. That's what I thought sounded best with this in 4.4. I used everything on these comparisons in balanced. I played it off of mostly my Hibby R2 Pro 2. And I did some listening also on the desktop with the Gishelli Labs and the Topping A90D. So that is kind of my overall impressions. To sum up the CCA Duo, overall pretty smooth, no harshness, no sibilance. And I'll get into more of the stage and stuff like that in the shootout, and you get a more of a comparison. And so a little bit bass light, tilting towards the brighter side of things. The bass overall is quality, just not in big quantity. It will, like on Massive Attack, it goes. It'll try to play low. Of course, there's not a whole lot of energy there. Mid bass, again, not much attack as well. And that kind of leads into vocals. So male vocals I found a bit thin. Again, only when I was doing the comparison, but on regular listening, I actually sounded fine. So if I didn't have a comparison, I thought, male vocals sounded fine. And it wasn't until I started comparing against that I thought it was sounding a bit light, or where it should have been, until I listened to it against other things that I found that it was now lacking a little bit in the weight for male vocals, and almost to the point where female vocals were sounding a bit thin too, and I was wishing for more note weight there as well. So that was kind of my overall impression for the CCA Duo. And overall, it's a great IAM if that's the kind of sound signature you were looking for and trying to go for. I think you'd enjoy, especially for its price point. There you go. I hope you enjoyed a little bit and you got some insight into the CCA Duo, and maybe see if that one tonality-wise is for you. Overall, I think applaud CCA for stepping outside of the box and making an IAM that is going to appeal to a lot of people. Maybe not bass heads and maybe not treble heads, but for those in between, or somebody looking for a reset set to reset your sensibilities, might be worth a look. Now, let's get into some comparisons, shall we? What do I have? Well, I have I love this IM. This one is a Truth Ear Ola, and it's sitting on a 4.4 open heart cable. I kind of like this cable, and a cloth cable, SPC. And then I have the new Moondrop Chew 2, also on a 2-core SPC 4.4. And on the Truth Ear Ola Reds, I have this Pen-On 2-core cable, which I have completely and utterly fallen out of love with. In fact, now it's more on the I hate you side, tangly stiff mess side. So I think it sounds good. I just think I'd never use it again because it's driving me insane. So there you go. And I got that in there today too. Let's do this comparison. Now, how did I do this comparison? Well, I did this comparison by spending many, many hours, about 7 to 8 actually, and listening to a bunch of songs for different things. Just in that, just to give you some idea, I wanted to listen to different genres. I wanted to listen to how it did different things. Like, for instance, in bass, I listened to Massive Attack to go for the low droning. I listened to Metallica for the fast speedy. Phil Collins for some note weight. Some Hawkman Kim and the Chinese poem drum. Instrumental, Tina Gao, female vocals, Hallie Steinfeld, Halsey, Miley Cyrus, Sia, Madonna, a bunch because I like my female vocals. Male vocals again was Phil Collins, Manskin, Lou Reed, that kind of stuff. Stage, Young Sun Hana. I listened to just a bunch, just to give you an idea of some of the things. And let's just do an overall comparison. And I'm going to do a spider graph, and I'm going to actually post that up here as well. And then probably a graph if you want to see all four compared against each other. Let's start off with bass. Okay. And I'm going to do it out of a 50 scale, right? From 0 to 50. How did they do, just to give you a comparison? Top was the Moondrop Chew. At 50, at 45 was the Truthier Ola. At 45 was the Zero Red. And the Duo hit 35. It was the most bass light. Oh, no, I completely screwed that up. Let's go back again. I'll edit that shit out. Bass. So I'm going to do it in quality and quantity, right? And then I'm going to do mid bass. So overall quality of bass, Chew 2 hit number 1. Kind of shocked me actually. Truth Ear Ola, 45. The Duo at 40, and the Truth Ear the Zero Red hit 35. Where I found that one, for quality, it was just a bit pillowy. Quantity. Chew 2, again, top. Not your old Chew. This is a Chew. And next one was the Ola at 45, the Zero Red at 45, and the Duo at 35. Again, the most bass light for quantity. Mid bass, none did it well. Honestly, not really. The Duo actually probably did it the best in speed, texture for mid bass. Next up was the a tie between the Ola and the Chew 2, and then the Zero Red again with that kind of pillowy bass was 35. So that's how they did on bass. In the mids. Overall, top scores went to the Chew 2 and the Zero. And those were 50s, and at 40s, tied Duo and Ola tied for mids. Mid quality, overall tonality of the mid-range spectrum. For female vocals, went to the Zero Red. And then the Duo were tied at 45 and 45 with the Chew 2. And here the Ola get 40. So overall smoothness, right? Top marks went to the Ola. Secondly, to the Zero, then the Chew 2, and then the Duo, where the Duo I found to be, it's not smooth because it's geared towards the high end and there's not enough bass to balance it off. What about male vocals? Well, here I think the Ola and the Chew were equal for 50. Then the Duo was 35. It was the lowest of the bunch. And again, just doesn't have enough note weight in male vocals. They sound thin. And the Zero, 40. So again, kind of missing that mid bass to add into the tonality of male vocals. And that's kind of where it came out. What about clarity? If you were listening to this and you picked it up and you thought, because at first I thought the CCA Duo was, very clear, but how did it compare to the other three? Well, the top marks went to the Zero. There is just something about this set that I would say more of a lack of noise and then gives it a better clarity. I think I said it before in a couple of videos, and it really is quite noticeable, actually. The next goes to the CCA Duo, which is tied at 45 with the Chew 2. And the Ola last at 40. But that kind of plays into, I think also, where the Ola was the least amount of clarity, it had the most amount of smoothness. That's just how I perceived it. What about the highs? Well, the Duo kicked ass, honestly. This is where it shines. The Chew 2, 45. Again, it did quite well. And the Ola and the Zero did 35. So definitely a step down there in the overall highs and its tonality. But the Air, believe it or not, went to Duo and the Zero. So I may have not liked the highs as much in the Zero, but I definitely appreciated how much air it had in the top end. Where the Chew 2 did a score of 40 and the Ola did 35. Stage. Ola is a noticeable difference over the other three. It hit the 50, and this was a hard one to score. The Duo, for instance, 40. The Chew 2, 35. And the Zero at 45. And how I came up with that was, the overall width, the height, the depth, the 3D-ness of the 4 IAMs. And the Ola certainly came out top marks. And the Duo came out above the Chew 2, which is it's almost really congested. Dynamics. This is an interesting one, too, where the Chew 2 now came out on top, and the Ola and the Zero were tied, and the Duo came out last. I think in order for dynamics, microdynamics, macrodynamics, you need more V-shape. You need more bottom end. You need more top end to balance everything out, to go from the very quiet passages to the very loud passages and add some excitement and dynamics into the track to give you that. And it didn't do a very good job. So I think that's one of the negative sides of the Duo. So if you're looking for a very dynamic, a very exciting IM, you probably won't find it here. Overall tone and timbre, right? Or timbre, some people call it. The Ola, top marks. Followed by Chew 2. And then the Duo and the Zero were tied at 40. So 50 for Ola, 45 for Chew 2, 40-40 for Duo Zero. This will all be on the spider graph, but I just wanted to go over some of it. Balanced. This is an interesting one. overall perception of balance, in order, for the amount of bass, the amount of mids, the amount of highs, put everything in the mix, put vocals in the mix, put instrumental in the mix, and how does it come out as a sounding of balanced IM? The Ola came out on top at 50, the Zero at 45, the Chew 2 at 45, and the Duo CCA at 35. So again, less on the dynamics, less on the balance. I wouldn't say it's flaws, but it's character. Instruments. How do instruments sound? Ola, they actually sound the most natural. Again, it goes to smooth, natural. It all had top marks. Tied was the Chew 2 and the Zero at 45 and 40, so it didn't do so bad with instrumentals, but again, they're missing the weight of the cello from Tina Gao. Just missing the note weight of that. It couldn't play it correctly. Bass guitar, nope. Drums, nope. So anything that had required lower octaves in order to make the instrument sound correct wasn't going to happen with the CCA Duo. So that was just some of the comparisons I did with the 4 IEMs for you. And I think more of it your leisure, if you want to dissect that, you can take a look at the graph and you can take a look at the spider graph and you can see kind of how they overall scored against each other. So just as a final thought, why would you pick up one of these over the other? And that's kind of why I wanted to bring 4 different flavors to this little comparison, right? They're each good in their own right. These are 4 excellent IEMs. But they're different flavors, and why would you pick one up? Well, let's start off with the CCA Duo. Again, if you didn't want it really bassy IM and preferred a little bit more high-end and more sparkle and details, that's where you would go. The Truth Ear Ola, you would pick this up if you wanted an overall smooth IM. Maybe not as bright in the top end, but still wanting to get an excellent stage. So that was your priority. The new Moondrop Chew 2, why would you pick this up? Because it's a fun sounding IM. It doesn't do stage particularly well, but just for a fun listen, definitely worth picking up. And it has good tonality. And if you wanted a different flavor from the original, that's where you would go. Lastly, the Truth Ear Zero Red. Probably overall the most balanced version and what I would consider out of these sets to be the best reset set. Reset your sensibilities. That's why I would pick up this set. And I love some of the other special things that it does particularly well. That's my final thoughts. This is a Tone Deaf Monk. Thanks for watching again. Much appreciated. And Kilo and I are